I feel like I should know this before I get onto this boat. What's this river called?
This is the Bow River.
The Bow River. And
Bow.
Bow. Oh, B-O-W. Bow
Bow.
River. Okay, I keep thinking the boat river.
So hi everyone, we are now on a boat trip on the Bow River, B-O-W. Bow River is a river in Alberta, Canada. It begins with the Canadian Rocky Mountains and winds through the Alberta foothill onto the piers where it meets the Old Man River, and the two then following to the South Sokevenwood River. This water ultimately will flow through the Nearson River and Hudson Bay. I was quite lucky today since on this boat, the person who guide us are actually really familiar with a lot of knowledge. I feel like I learned more in this boat trip than in my geography classes. So I will share some of the knowledge she told me today. So let's look at our surrounding. First, the water was really cold. It was about 5 degrees Celsius. I touched it with my feet. I feel like it's freezing. And we can see the water is quite blue. So why are those waters so blue? Well, it's because that they are limestone sediment grinded down by the glacier, and all the lakes around on all those mountains and all those like river, they all go into this Bow River, and sediment, limestone sediment in particular, in the bottom of the water absorb all the other color wavelengths and then only reflect this kind of blue. So during the spring, when the snow melted, it brings down dirt and head into the water, which will make the water really muddy and actually make the water level quite high. But now the water are quite clear and the water level are lower because it's heading towards winter and less snow are melted, so less water and mud enter the river. Actually, not mud, it's silt. Yeah, that was a better word. This doesn't mean that during the winter the snow do not melt. It just melt less because we know that the Earth's crust was 4 degrees, I guess. Therefore, the snow will keep melting as it touches the ground. It just don't melt that much because it do not really get that much sun heat. This year, the water level was quite high because it get really hot in June. I guess it get to 40 degrees Celsius or something. That's really hot, especially near mountain. And normally before that, I guess the highest record was 32 to 38 degrees Celsius. So things just crazy this year.
So there are 3 rivers that come into this river.
There's a few different rivers, but there's lots of lakes that flow into the river here. So almost like all the mountains you see, all that the light touches, all the water that falls or snows,
The glacier
ends
melt.
up in this river
Oh,
before it gets into the river. And then on the other side of Lake Louise, that's the continental divide. So if you've been to Lake Louise, see the lake. At the end of the lake, there's Mount Victoria, which is that big arching mountain with the glaciers on it. So that is part of the Alberta-BC border, and also the Great Divide. So on the other side of Lake Louise, all that water on the other side of the Alberta-BC border is going to the Pacific. And this is all headed to the Atlantic.
So the major glacier that feed the Bow River, guess what it is? Well, it's called Bow Glacier, which is located about 37 kilometers north of the Lake Louise on the Icefield Parkway. And runoff from that glacier flows into the Picturecon of Bow Lake, which is the source of Bow River that winds through Banff National Park, Kanestika countries, Calgary and Alberta Prairies. But you know, the glacier was getting smaller and smaller each year. One person on the boat asked for the timeline of the glacier, Unfortunately, our guide are not really sure about that. There was not a set timeline. She know that it was getting smaller and smaller each year, and for future sakes, who knows? Unfortunately, we missed some of the soundtrack on the river because the wind was quite crazy today. If I really opened the sound, all you could hear was the wind was blowing. So, hear that? Exactly like that. So now we went across the Three Sisters, and I asked why they are called the Three Sisters.
Why they are called the Three Sisters?
Apparently, when European expedition come here and see the snow sitting on the wider part of the mountain, they think it looked like Suriname, so the mountain was originally called Suriname, later be renamed as Three Sisters.
They were already named the Three Sisters when the Palliser expedition renamed them the Three Sisters. Oh, wow.
So in traditional language, the name referred to a story of Ikitomia, the old man or the trickster who would promise the Three Sisters in marriage whenever he was in trouble. So the big sister is Faith, which was about 2,936 feet, and the middle sister is Charity, 2,769 meters, and the little sister was Hope, 2,694. Then she pointed to the bank and teach us something about that.
Actually depositing any of the silt and debris that the river's carrying. So that inside bank is actually growing out into the river, as the other side of the river is getting eaten away.
So actually where tree holds the soil is where the water goes faster. Oh, and the tree actually grows fastest water too. Now how did those trees grow there faster?
Well, they were growing up there, right? And then the water scoops and scoops out all the dirt from underneath the roots. And the root systems are quite shallow. There's not a whole heck of a lot of actual dirt around here. On this next bank up here, you can see just how little dirt this whole forest is growing in. It's quite astounding.
I don't know, should I ask or not, but why one side of water go faster than the other side?
Most of the water gets pushed. So, kind of like in a car, right? That centrifugal force that pushes. So that the inside corners, like this, you actually get more water kind of filling in behind. So sometimes in those inside corners, the river is actually going upriver to fill in behind the fast-moving water.
I feel like, wow, it's so thin.
So thin, the dirt is so thin, and that's what the whole forest is growing in, right? Like 4 inches of actual topsoil. You can see they can grow. They need so little soil. You see how there's like layers and layers in the limestone? Yeah. Can you see how it's all pushed up on that angle?
Yeah.
That is like the Rockies in miniature.
Rockies and miniature.
Like the Rocky Mountains, that's like a mini mountain.
Oh.
Because if you look up at Mount Rundle, you might be able to see the layers and layers in the limestone all pushed up on that angle, but on the grand scale. So those layers, right, all up on that angle used to be flat, ocean floor.
my gosh. Astonishing. And I guess it's all shaped by water.
So then someone asked how deep is the water because there are children on the boat and one of the toddler get a little afraid. So they are trying to comfort her saying that water was quite shallow.
Probably about 6 feet deep in this corner.
Oh, 6 feet.
Over that side, maybe about 5 feet, 4 feet. Where you've got, like if you look downstream, you can see that left-hand side is really blue. That tells you it's a lot deeper. And then anywhere where it looks kind of brown, that's generally the gravel showing through the water. That will tell you it's a lot shallower. So outside corner, you'll see more erosion, deeper, faster water.
So the green water was shallower than the blue water.
True.
Okay. Just
Yeah, the bluer it is, the deeper it is. So Lake Louise, really blue, because it's a lot very deep.
And we spot the tree lines on the mountainside and ask, well, how do those trees grow up
But they
there?
just grow so slowly because the growing season isn't very long, right? So down south you can grow bananas because it's hotter for longer. So that's one of the reasons why the tree line here is where it is. The tree line goes up as high as the trees can grow during our growing season. So during our summer. Beyond where the trees can grow means it's too cold for trees to reproduce and create baby trees and for baby trees to grow.
1,000 years old small tree growing on like really thin soil. Wow.
Well, apparently on the top of the mountain there are like those really short tree that actually was quite old, about 1,000 years old or something like that. Those trees are kind of like some specialized species that are specialized in growing really tough condition. So basically it's just amazing. I always thought that those trees are grow inside rock, but actually they are growing on like really thin soil. It's quite impressive and astonished just thinking about it. And on the top where there was no tree, it's just too harsh for tree to grow. After some chatting, I suddenly remember the Yolk Island we just passed. Well, then I asked about what's the Yolk Island. Apparently there are many Yolk Island. They just call that small island Yolk Island because those yolk will cross the river to breed there.
So, is there only one Yolk Island, or there are many?
There's one Elk Island, that we call Elk Island. Up here in Edmonton, there's a national park called Elk Island.
But all those islands in the water can be considered as Elk Island because during their reproduction period, they will swim through the water and get to those islands.
And this is an island in front of us.
Oh, okay.
So there's a really big log jam back there, and there's water going on one side of the log jam.
I feel like I should elaborate a little bit more. So during the breeding system, female milk will swim through the water and get to those islands to avoid predation. Because if you are the predator, do you want to swim through cold water and get a meal? I know I wouldn't. I can get a sandwich on the land. But anyway, in wild, it's much more about like how much calorie you consume and how much you can gain. I call it adaptive strategy. Anyway, the lady later showed us a rock with fossilized coral in it, and she suggests like all those sediment nearby could have those fossils.
Well, fossilized coral. There's a lot of this rock is for animals to be in it. Although there's the Burgess Shale, which is a layer that's exposed out by Yolk.
She then do a brilliant explanation about how those fossils are formed and the history of those two bands. However, the wind was just too loud and I mixed all the soundtrack of it. Therefore, I will, in short, explain it to you. Well, apparently those sediments are so fine, so it be able to keep all the record of those animals. Even some of those animals do not even have bone in it. And she suggests that it keep the fossil of many animals from the Cambridge explosion, which there was the world's most variety of animal exist there. They have so many variety of species, more than today, which make a lot of sense since human kind of extinct some of it. Anyway, basically she tell us maybe some of our ancestors are buried right there. And the rock was just fine enough to keep the record of those animals without a bone, creating a really good place for scientists to study. Well, she make the joke of if she run out of bone right now and go onto the bank, she may actually find some fossil. So this is the end of the video. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to see me go to other places, please write in the comment area. Maybe I will go there someday and make a video for you. My apology for all those wind noises. I originally didn't want to make this video, but I suddenly changed my mind and my plan just go otherwise, and the noise is just uncomfortable. I'm really sorry.